This is posted by Wordsmith. Remember to go subscribe and like their videos. And let's get on to this. We'll see.
Planning on doing part 3 of Library, but things are kind of complicated right now. We've got a Patreon up and running, with the biggest tier giving an entire brief summary video as a reward.
Alright, there we go.
However,
that
I also
should
moved
work
recently
now.
to
That
gotten
should
in the way
work.
of actually making videos. I'm also completely new at this and aimed for the Patreon videos to be about 10 minutes in length, but this one kind of spiraled out of control. We're gonna hone it up a bit and should be able to aim to get one of these out.
Chat, we're becoming a professional React Andy with this one. I don't know. I always feel real awkward reacting to things on stream, but we'll see how this one goes, you know?
Unfortunately, part 3 has taken a backseat while I'm figuring out a job and money issues, but these Patreon-sponsored videos are a good way for me to stay in the video-making mindset while also still making content for y'all and getting a little cash to pay rent and afford groceries. Work will proceed on part 3 when my life is stabilized a bit. Until then, we're going to be relying on these Patreon-funded videos for a while. More on that later. For now, enjoy the new Arknights video. Arknights' World of Terra is surprisingly grounded for a gacha setting. Of course,
Yeah, like, the world? Like, I thought, in the main story of Arknights, I thought the game would be, like, set in, like, multiple different regions, really. But I think from what I've been told anyways, and from how far I've got in the story, it's really only set in USA. So I suppose it's kind of like the biggest country here, you know? Like, since the world is so grounded, I thought the game would take place in everyone.
cancer rocks, constant super disasters, and everyone
Oh, I didn't know it was a community-wide thing to call them cancer rocks, babe.
a for Affinity account, but for many parts of the story, that doesn't really matter too much. All of the fantastical elements just play into the gritty reality of the all-too-human world. Twilight of Wallamond, and I swear at some point I'll go one Arknights video without mentioning that event, is essentially just about people panicking because winter is coming and they don't have enough to eat. And it's not because some wizard showed up and cast a panic spell on the populace. That's just how people would react in this situation. Granted, the town wound up that way because it got caught in a super earthquake, and the entire thing was some grand plan by a Machiavellian manipulator for the ultimate good of the town, but still, the majority of the plot is driven by raw human panic.
Hello. Complex as hell, man. Like, for a gacha game, the way the story goes in so deep, you know, it's interesting, right?
Makes them stand out so well. There's about 3 major that we really haven't heard much of, which is worrying because they're called demons. They're that we really haven't heard much of, which is worrying because they're called demons. They're horrifying monsters that live in the unexplored regions to the north and south of Terra, and that's about all we know. Then you've got the ocean, which has more tentacular horrors than an H.P. Lovecraft-themed hentai manga. Finally, you have the topic of this video, the literal, actual deities. In this setting, these immensely
There are deities? How did I not know that? You'd think I would actually know that. I did not know there were actually even deities.
entities are called Feranmut, and I apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong, please be patient with me. They're not like the gods seen in stuff like Dungeons & Dragons that are completely separate from the mainline reality. These are living beings that are completely incomprehensible to humanity. They operate on a level above mainline human understanding.
I swear they didn't... I swear they haven't mentioned that in the game. I'm wondering if that's one of the things where it's like, it's not spoken about in the game, but the developers have confirmed it's true, I suppose. It could be one of those things, right?
And their relation to the mythologies of Terra is left ambiguous. They might be the actual entities that inspired these myths, or they could simply be mimicking these legends for clout on God Twitter or something. Feranmuts are, as established, completely beyond mainline humanity's reckoning. They're able to use actual magic, not Originium-derived arts, but actual magical manipulation of reality independent of external factors. They're also immortal, and not in the don't age sense, in the that which is not dead but can eternal lie kind of way. Now, one might think that because of all this, these things would be running the world right now, but
you'd think... I swear they haven't mentioned that in the game, nor they did the anime, because I saw the anime before, but I swear they also didn't mention it in that, you know, like, I swear they didn't.
for the most part, they're unknown in the modern setting. That's because despite their immense powers, there is a way to incapacitate them. These entities, so powerful that even death can't touch them, can instead be broken. When they are shattered like this, the fragments take on their own personalities, while still possessing a portion of the power their original self could bring to bear. And much like the mainline Feranmut, they are completely immune to Oripathy and Originium. How do we even know that they can be fragmented like this? Because it's happened in the past, of course. In the nation of Yan, the China equivalent in the place where Lungmen is located, the Feranmuts once ruled with an iron fist. Their reign of terror was oppressive and nightmarish with human—
wait, is that the night? Hold on, I'm just gonna skip back.
Because it's happened in the past, of course. In the nation of—
Yan. I wonder if that's meant to— what do we think that country represents? Russia? Well, no.
With humanity at large being little more than expendable chaff for their deific masters. It is a dark period in their history, and it has dark reflections even in modern Yanni's. The Emperor of Yan declared a great hunt against the Feranmut. This conflict—
face palms, the stream isn't listening to what he said.
Fucking terrifying.
I am listening, okay, I swear.
Mankind's defeat. However, they received assistance from an unlikely source. One of the worst Feranmuts, a great dragon known as Sui, who decided in the middle of a pitched battle to turn on his brethren out of the selfish desire to be the one and only deity of the land. However, this bit him in the ass, as his brethren cursed him with their—
So basically this is what he's summarizing is all deities bad, they just like to fight each other, you know?
death, and the Emperor harshly punished.
You know, I kind of wonder if the Doctor, if it's gonna turn out something like basically, if anyone doesn't know, you play as the main character called the Doctor. I wonder if the Doctor is gonna end up being one of these deities, you know? I could imagine that.
In the end, he was shattered into 12 fragments, which became known as the 12 Siblings. Dropping the in-universe explanation for a moment, the Siblings are the focus of Arknights' cool annual event where a new one is introduced and general shenanigans happen. There are limited units, which means you've only got their banners to get your hands on them, and if you do happen to get them, they're some of the most unique characters in the game. They also tend to have some extremely cool events, but this video isn't dedicated to said events, it's dedicated to the Siblings themselves. So let's talk about them in order of release, starting with Neon. This fireworks enthusiast is a protector defender, meaning she's got tons of defense and an impressive 3 block.
Ooh, wait, I presume they're limited, you can only get in the event. That would actually be kind of cool. So, like, maybe it's like you can either get, like, maybe, I was gonna say maybe you could either, like, maybe it's got a separate banner or something and you can get, like, 1 of 6? I don't know. Or did he say 12 siblings? Yeah, my brain, I forget so much lately, chat. My memory is very much shit.
But trades that off with relatively low attack and literally no resistance, so magic will turn her into paste. Her first skill is Tin Burning, which is the typical 6-star skill 1 where it's just a basic buff, but in her case, it does make her attack steal arts damage, letting her low attack sneak past the defense of bulkier enemies. Her S2 is very interesting, as it gives her another block stat, letting her hit an unprecedented block 4. It also makes her stop attacking, cranks her defense, and lets her counterattack with arts damage and silences the enemies that hit her. This is a pretty immense skill that lasts for a whopping 30 to 35 seconds, essentially allowing her to act as a hard counter against hordes of opponents. Dangerous abilities like Kabuki Slide. Her final skill is Iron Defense, which cranks her attack by a ton and puts up a field which makes all nearby status resistance and gives all of them 1 additional block. This can turn your collection of ground units into an absolutely impenetrable wall of bulk. Physical damage is no longer—
I swear, I don't know when this video came out, but I need this girl, okay? 2 years ago, okay, well, I presume you can probably only get them on the event, you know? Or maybe they're like a super duper limited where you can only get them once, you know? And it's a new one of the siblings, or did he call them twins? A new one of the siblings each year? Would be interesting though, would be interesting.
Longer a concern, and each individual unit becomes a huge roadblock for your foes. This ties into her Tectonic Armor passive, which gives all of the defenders on your team extra max HP when she's in the squad. She also enters the battlefield with 3 shields that completely negate the first 3 hits she'd take in combat. Thankfully, she's also gotten a module, and now is a good time to mention that I'm only covering stuff in the global version of the game, not from the Chinese server. She has a second module on there that we aren't going to talk about now, since I want these videos to be
There's different versions? Oh, well, I presume you'll probably, maybe China might have a more censored thing? Like, I know in Genshin Impact, China made them cover up, a lot of cleavage, you know? So maybe it's something like that, you know, they get more modest character art, maybe. Although I think almost the character art in the whole game is pretty modest.
in the game and go toe-to-toe with some of the heaviest attacks around. However, she still also has her drawbacks. She wants to head a group of defenders given her passive and block increase on S3, but generally speaking, entire squads of defenders aren't great to bring as their low damage prevents smooth clears. Additionally, she's got the arts problem that a lot of defenders suffer from. It doesn't matter how tanky you are, 0 res means a single magic missile is going to put a hole through your chest. Also, her cost is fucking absurd. She is one of the most expensive units to put down in the entire game. Overall though, Neon is fun. She's able to boost other units' block, which is an entire—
Well, I guess if you have a team of like a lot of defenders and maybe a lot of, what are they called, vanguard, basically cheap enemies which can get a lot of DP points, like deployment points, down real fast, you know? That's basically just what you need, you know?
And can be an extremely durable wall in the right circumstances. Not meta, but far from a waste of resources. Character-wise, Neon is an absolute gremlin. She's effectively a freeloader crashing in roads.
I love that dry chat. I need that as like my wallpaper. Hold up.
Character-wise, Neon is an—
I need that as my wallpaper. That's adorable! I wish he put the artist down here somewhere so you could look him up.
Absolute gremlin. She's effectively a freeloader crashing in Rhodes Island that does whatever she wants. She possesses an incredibly dense knowledge of metalworking, and tends to either be trying to play mahjong with people that would rather be working, chatting with the Rhodes Island engineers, or making extremely elaborate and special effects heavy home movies. She was introduced as an eccentric but otherwise human woman. In reality, she is the 9th fragment of Sui. She lives her life free, wild, and completely herself.
Question is, why did Sui the dragon turn into a human girl, you know? Is that like the ultimate form of dragons? The awakened form of a dragon? Just an anime babe chat.
Is somewhat paradoxical to this.
You guys can hear the video, right?
Is to one day lose their individuality. While they exist at some point in the distant future, they will come together to reform into Sui. Neon wishes to fight against this by uniting her siblings and attempting to actually, no takesies backsies, kill Sui. However, it seems that doing so might cost the siblings the very individuality they've come to cherish. Unfortunately—
Oh, I was thinking, is it just gonna kill them all, I guess? Because if they're killing the other part of them, maybe. That's a grand old question if they do it.
She was introduced in Ancient Forge was just a vignette and didn't really have too much going on in it. However, the sequel, Who Is Real, was a much bigger show and introduces our second sister, Dusk. As a counterpoint to Neon, Dusk is a
Oh, wait, yeah, I've seen her before. Why do I feel like she's in Enfield too? If anyone doesn't know, Enfield is a sequel game. She's probably not, but she looks like one of the characters from that.
Splashcaster, specializing in AoE arts damage. Splashcasters are inherently kind of niche, since in exchange for that AoE arts damage, they have low attack and high cast times, meaning they're basically only good at dealing AoE arts damage. Her S1 is a storable nuke that constantly recharges, and she can hold up to 3 uses at a time, making her a pseudo-mystic caster with this equipped. Her S2 is where things start getting interesting. On top of hitting one line of squares further, she also hits harder and faster. But what makes this really useful is that she throws an AoE attack at every enemy in her range while the skill is active, and also—
Okay, chat. We just need a team of like 12 of them, chat. We just need every single sibling, just 12 of them. And then boom, the team is just gonna be amazing.
also deals more damage to enemies below half HP, letting her absolutely disintegrate hordes. The combination of bigger damage and hitting everyone and executing them at low health means that even small groups of enemies will be reduced to a wayward smear pretty quickly. Her S3 gives her range on par with a Deadeye, makes her attack slower but prioritizes unblocked enemies. She hits harder, splashes further, and every single attack summons a Freeling from her event to smack the enemy around. This allows her to basically spit out cheap, reusable blockers to get in the way of dangerous enemies. Her passives increase the amount of damage she does every time that she or her little goober defeats an enemy, and allows her to summon a goober on her first cast regardless of what skill she has active. She also has 2 different module options. Her first one increases her basic range and lets her killing passive stack from 10 times to 21 times, a pretty sizable increase to how hard she can hit. Her other option cuts her DP cost by 8, lets her summon 2 goobers on her first cast, powers up said goobers, and lets them restore Dusk's—
I love how she's got little goobers. She's got the goobers, chat! She's got the goobers.
Field. Honestly, Dusk is a weird unit. She's got aspects of a bunch of different—
Okay, I'm a killer for a good silhouette, and like, the silhouette on that one is crazy with the hair. Oh my god. It would make for such a good VTuber design too. I don't know, now I got into designing VTubers, I'm like, I always look at anime design and I'm like, yes, that could be a VTuber. you know?
classes depending
That's
on
got
the skills
such a
you
good
have
design.
access to.
Like, I mean, gacha game designs. I always look at them and think, yes, that could be a VTuber. Such a good design.
She's got Mystic Caster vibes on her S1, Pure Splash Caster excellence on her S2, and a Pseudo Summoner vibe on her S3. But at the same time, she also always has access to her summons with her passives, making her not really fit snugly into any given niche. Her modules further diversify her, with her first module keeping her as a high-cost AoE killing machine that cleans up disgusting amounts of mooks at a time, and her second module playing more heavily into her identity as a Pseudo Summoner, able to throw goobers around everywhere and increasing her consistency. Much like Neon, she's not bad, certainly has some
Wonder if he's gonna go through them all in this video, because we're almost halfway through, and I'm guessing, I wanna have a look-see, let's see. Okay, Dusk story, we have her, and then what comes next? So it looks like we'll be going through about 3 or 4 of them, I think?
interesting things that she can do, but is far from meta. Beyond the raw stats of her kit, Dusk is kind of a NEET. Her specialty is in painting, and like the other dragon siblings, she's able to basically break the rules of reality through pure magical bullshit. So the things that she paints literally come to life, hence the little goobers that she can spawn. But it goes beyond.
Could you imagine that, like, let's say, you know, let's say you just want to paint something, and let's say you like doing horror paintings, you know? And then you end up painting something horrifying, and then it just comes to life. You know, what if you paint, like, I don't know, let's say you painted a woman with, like, let's say you painted someone with, like, half a skull exposed and the other half is skin. As soon as they spawn in, would they just die? Like, what are the physics of this, you know?
Just that. There are entire worlds inside of the paintings that she makes. The main bulk of her character is seen in the event What Is Real, which is a weird event dealing with Neon sending an aged up version of Lava and truly an enigma. While I described her earlier as a NEET that paints her in a negative color, that'd make you think of dark rooms lit by glowing screens, piles of trash and junk food forming rancid walls. Dusk is more of a hermit. She likes her isolation. She invests entirely in the things that she enjoys, and once
her hair would be terrible to comb out, you know? Like, because it's like watery, right? Like, if she tried to comb it, it would be terrible, you know? Like, how does it feel? Is it cloud-like? Or if you touch it, is it kind of like she sprayed too much hairspray in it, you know? Sorry, I don't know. Those are the intrusive questions in my mind, chat.
to shut out the outside world because she finds it boring. This all fits with her as a magical painter. Her abilities are weird. She fucks with human perception and puts out tangible illusions. She messes with the title of her event, What Is Real. Honestly, flowery language aside, I can barely parse some of the more esoteric bits about her character. But Neon throws firecrackers into her room to get her out, which is kind of hilarious. Also, that room changes, by the way, seeming to let out in whatever landscape Dusk happens to be thinking of at the time. To summarize, since we need to move on, Dusk is a weird character possessing one of the more conceptual powers that we've seen in Arknights. Neon being able to freely manipulate metal is pretty crazy, but Dusk...
Hey, which one do we think is more Smash, chat? I'm going with Dusk, but which one do we think is more Smash? It's Smash or past tier list, chat?
Human mind. Do her abilities have any actual impact on reality? Is what she does real? Only as much as you accept it to be, which is incredibly confusing. Okay, esoteric painting mindfuckery aside, let's talk about our last dragon sibling for now, the gloriously convoluted poet and terminal alcoholic, Ling. Gameplay-wise...
Okay, perfect. Alcoholic? I'm already in love with her, chat. She's right up my alley. The most beautiful alcoholic. Oh, man. Hold up.
Ling is easily the best dragon sibling. She's a summoner and is able to call upon small dragon spirits to assist her. These summons change based on the skill that she's using. This sheer variety in usability makes Ling one of the most useful soloers in the entire game. It is very possible to simply clear out entire levels with just her and no one else, which makes any backup...
Perfect. What does she... she just offers the alcohol to the enemies and then they just walk off the field, you know? We just all need the alcohol, chat. They just all need to chill.
While also making the dragons deal arts damage while restocking a summon every cast. Pretty simple, and you likely won't ever see someone using this. Her S2 setup requires her dragons to go on range tiles and lets them do arts damage at base, effectively turning them into cheap casters. When used, this skill causes Ling and her dragons to basically sneeze on the opponent, dealing huge damage to 2 enemies and binding them in place. Since each summon and Ling shoots this out, you can easily just evaporate enemies if they're within range of multiple casts. This also causes dragons below half health to retreat. This build specifically does not have any ability to to generate more summons, meaning she can permanently lose them if you play her poorly. She can also store multiple charges, allowing her to always have an ability available to be used. Her S3 setup once again requires summons to be placed in melee range, but has a unique gimmick. When dragons are placed in attack range of each other, they combine into a super dragon that takes up 2 summon slots. This thing is an absolute wall of stats, able to throw hands with some of the spookier enemies in the game. Additionally, Ling can cast this ability, and when she does, it boosts her and the dragon's attack and defense by 40 to 1 attack boost and gets a bit of an SP kickback. However, her module is disgusting. Each level just makes it more and more powerful. First off, it gives her 3 more charges of her dragons, which, fair, everyone always wants more dragons in their life, but it also reduces their cost to be deployed, meaning you can get your dragons out quicker. Its second level gives her a deployment cap of 4 instead of 3, meaning you can now have an absolute wall of sneezy dragons or 2 giga dragons that spread arts damage everywhere. The final level cranks it even further by giving every dragon yet even more stats to work with. Ling is, like I said, by far the strongest dragon sibling we've seen. She effectively brings an entire squad of powerful dragon units that might outperform some.
I thought he was calling her weak. He was calling her weak a minute ago. And he was like, he fell for the baby. He's like, okay, her kid might be weak, but she's hot, okay? But she's hot!
Lesser rarity operators, and even when barely using her summons, she's able to put out solid damage all on her own. Okay, now I have to talk about the elephant or dragon in the room. Ling is a poet, and my god do they let us fucking know it. Every single line out of this lady's mouth is a fucking...
As long as she has a Scottish accent with it, that means it's okay. That means it's beautiful. It's okay then. It's okay.
poem, and I am wordsmith. Will decipher all of Ling's poetry. Well, unfortunately, not really. My expertise lies in the construction of a narrative, not poetry. I specifically don't enjoy poetry that much, and translated poetry is even harder to get my brain around. And Ling's poems are specifically written in an archaic Chinese style, so translating that into modern English is a bit of a nightmare. So please, don't expect any deep readings into her poetic beat. Okay,
I know. You know, Chinese cursive or like Mandarin cursive does look pretty hard to understand, but you know, have you guys ever seen Russian cursive before? Because Russian cursive is even worse. I saw a video on it once, and oh my god, it looks like they're writing the same letter over and over and over and over again. It's crazy, chat. If you guys haven't seen Russian cursive before, you guys need to go look that up on YouTube right now. It's insane.
That said, it's kinda awesome that this gacha game is a character who speaks entirely in ancient Chinese poems. That is a writing ordeal, and the fact that they did it so well speaks volumes about the team behind Arknights' character designs. Doubly so for the translating team. This must have been a beast to work on. Anyway, on to Ling as a person. She's very chill and easily one of the nicest people around. She doesn't get in anyone's way and is always down to share a drink of wine. She, appropriately, has big sister vibes, considering she is the third oldest of the dragon siblings.
And Scottish vibes, okay? The good old Scottish vibes!
And the oldest girl among them. Her power is called Unfettered, and largely deals with ephemeral dreams. She can bend the world to really terrifying. She's also the least coy about her history, unlike Neon and Dusk, who barely talk about themselves. Ling will freely discuss her life, although through a haze of drunkenness and poetry. To translate some of that, when Sui was shattered, each sibling essentially fought to answer the question, who am I? In layman's terms, they all had to develop a sense of self. Or an ego, but that's a spicy word on this channel and we're not going to use it. When they discovered this sense of self, that's when they were considered to have been born into the hierarchy. So all the siblings are basically the same age in that they've existed for the same amount of time, but they all discovered themselves at a different pace.
Well, they're like immortal dragons. You know, so like, you know. Immortal anime waifus.
Ling's earliest memories are of a place called Jiangnan. That's where she truly discovered who she was through learning poetry. These were by far the happiest days of her life. But she face-planted into the immortality issue, as the people, and by extension the city around her, changed while she stayed largely the same. One day, while on a visit, the eldest brother of the siblings was teaching her to wield a sword. She confided in him about...
I think since he was saying she only talks in poetry, that would be so annoying to talk to her though, or like to have to read through that dialogue of poetry.
He suggested that she go to the northern fortress city of Yumen and help defend it. He was essentially telling her to get some distance from this one place she's known and go see some of the rest of the world. She traveled to the fortress city and spent many...
She just like, how do I put it, like a potato, not... a couch potato. A couch potato for poetry. She just sits in a chair all day just writing poetry, and it's the only way she knows how to speak either.
Years as an excellent general and strategist. After all, what is strategy if not a dream of what might happen in a conflict? Through those years, times, Ling felt that she knew all there was to know about the world. But one day while looking out on the vastness of the land around her from atop the city's gate, she realized that there was so much more for her to see. So, she started walking, doing various goofy shenanigans before eventually settling on the 18th peak of the Shangshu mountain range, which she then poofed out of reality, causing it to be known as the Lost Peak. See what I mean by freaky levels of power here? She took an entire mountain and basically hid it from perception, and everyone in Yan was like, oh, okay, that's normal. Now, I won't be covering the events of Invitation to Wine in their entirety because that's a lot to go over, and we're coming up on our word count here, but I will tease you with the current situation of the dragon siblings. There are two major factions at play, and naturally they're both part of the government. The Sui Regulators and the Ministry of Rights. The Sui Regulators are a faction in the Yanese government specifically built to deal with Feranmuts, and a major part of their duties is to make sure the dragon siblings aren't doing weird shit. Opposing them are the evil dragon siblings. See, while the likes of Neon Dusk...
Oh, of course there are evil ones. You could probably guarantee that they were gonna be... I feel like it's gonna be all the dudes are the evil ones. I have a feeling.
The foremost of these is the second brother. The boss of the Sui Regulators has a deal with his second brother. Every 60 years, they play a game of Go, and if the brother loses, he will be imprisoned for 60 years. One time, he actually won a round and was set free for a while. During that time, a dragon sibling named Jie passed away in a conflict we don't know much about. Since then, the brother scattered 181 black Go pieces across Yan and went back into his prison. Through those cursed pieces, he's managed to cause various incidents, including making a goblet that manifested an avatar of Sui during the Invitation to Wine event. Even worse, that Ministry of Rights faction that I mentioned is actively working with the second. Inevitable conflict is coming fast. And because Rhodes Island has let not just one of the siblings, but 3 of them onto their landship, we are inextricably involved.
Chat. Smash or pass. Let's see, one of these 3. Okay.
Siblings, but 3 of
one of the 3. Smash or pass. We got 3 of them on the screen, chat. This is your time to take screenshots right now.
Our organization has gone up against a lot of spooky stuff, but nothing quite like the dragon siblings. The ones that are on our side are able to wield actual magic to break reality in numerous ways, from effortless manipulation of metal to the creation of entire worlds of unreality and even vanishing major landmarks. The idea of what the siblings that are against us can do is frankly terrifying. However, for now, these siblings are merely powerful allies that are completely removed from the plight of Originium. They're some of the most distinctly interesting units in the game, and the story behind them is impressive. Arknights has the ability to make its world feel so deep and complex, since stuff like this world-ending threat and the craziness of the ocean aren't even remotely tied into the main plotline. There's just even more craziness in the setting, and I kinda love it for that. Okay, and the time it took for this video to come out, a new dragon sibling was introduced, and...
Of course. I wonder how long it took him to edit this. I mean, because the editing is very nice. With the way he's edited it, like... I don't know, it's atmospheric with the music, too. Like, it's tied together with, like, a nice little bow. You know? Your 10 hours of silence...
I'd be cringe if I didn't add him in for the sake of completion. So, meet the oldest brother...
We got a guy! Oh, I think I saw
the dragon
him!
siblings, one Chongyue. All of the siblings have found various ways to express their own individuality, and Chong here expresses himself through martial.
Is this cooking? Oh no, this is martial arts guy. I'm not gonna remember their names. You got Scottish girl and martial arts guy.
Rapidly with his fists of fury. His S1 is Chongyue Energized. This is a 3-times storable big punch that deals 210 to 400% of Chong's attack as physical damage. However, this skill is cool in that it burns through every stored charge.
Does any... Okay. I know... I feel like all, like, martial arts anime guys have the same look. So, chat, if anyone has seen Zhongli from Genshin before, or search him up now, Zhongli from Genshin, he's like the Geo Archon. He looks exactly like that guy. Like, same color palette, same kind of hairstyle, you know? Or not exactly like him, because his face and outfit are different, but the colors. The colors are almost the same.
When it gets used, meaning if he has all 3
and Zhongli's not furry. Zhongli's not a furry, but...
for 12,000 of his attack, which, does this to things. Before we get to his S2, we actually need to cover his talent. His first one is Zhig Stopping War. This gives him an 18 to 25% chance to boost his damage dealt towards his target by 55 to 70% for the next 2.5 seconds when using his normal attacks. This means with his rapid punches, he's able to roll the dice a lot and eventually just atomize whoever he's throwing hands with. For the sake of getting it out of the way, his other talent is All Be Honorable, which is just 3 SP when he kills at least one enemy using a skill. This is absolutely filthy with his S3, but we'll get there. His S2 is Fuchin, Dust of the Past. This hits in a circle around him and deals 250 to 450% damage to 4 enemies. Enemies inflicted with his stopping war talent are then levitated into the air and then slammed back down into the ground, refreshing said talent and dealing 350 to 650% damage when they slam down. Crazy effect. At first, it's just a 180 to 380 damage nuke, but after being used 5 times, Chong gets several permanent buffs. His attack range expands to being a large plus sign around him, all of his normal attacks hit twice, his skill becomes auto-activated, and double dips for 2 hits. This is basically his Super Saiyan button, and makes him act a lot like Thorns. The next bit about his story might spoil some...
Okay, I didn't really like the default art of him, but that art in there makes him look good. Sometimes, like, a character's art will look so good around them, but like then their character model looks a bit iffy, you know?
His event, just a heads up. So believe it or not, Chongyue is technically not a Feranmut fragment. His original name was Shuo.
Yeah, like he looks better there. Like some of the shots he looks good, some of them he looks a bit iffy, you know?
He was so impressed by Yan's tenacity that he decided to dedicate himself to martial arts both for self-improvement / meditation and to use as a weapon to deter those who would start violence. To do so, he sealed away his Feranmut powers into his sword and turned his form into a flesh and blood, albeit immortal body. He took up the name Chongyue and proceeded to go about and practice. He's spent years as a martial arts grandmaster defending the city of Yumen from the dangers to the north. We learn more about these dangers, but I'm not gonna go into them because learning about this kind of feels...
I wonder, he was probably like, oh my god, he probably looked into it and was like, oh my god, no, I just want to get this video out, I'll just do this, I'll put that away, that can be for next time, you know?
I stumbled upon forbidden Lovecraftian knowledge in my grandparents' attic. Anyway, Chong here has been an extremely effective teacher, freely sharing...
Well, the whole lore of the game is kind of like that because it goes so deep, you know? There's so many countries, there's so many everything, you know? Bubbles, hey, look at balls, look at Ning, look at Ning! He's also loud as shit. Should I turn the sound down, or do you mean the character? I'll turn the sound down a little bit. So everyone just yeah, basically he just likes to fight. Scottish girl, and you said cook earlier, and then we have this guy who's martial arts guy. I don't know!
Sharing his knowledge through hands-on exercises and scrolls written to spread his teachings far and wide. But the same thing that happened to Ling happened to him. He ran headfirst into the immortality problem. Those students that he connected with all inevitably died. Tired and exhausted from the endless fighting and watching generations of beloved pupils perish, he decided to retire and seek out inner peace. But given that...
Have you ever wondered how that would feel like being immortal? How would that feel, you know? I feel like it could be fairly miserable, you know, or it could be good. Who knows? I feel like it depends on the person's personality. What do you think, chat? Would you guys like to become immortal someday? I don't know. Maybe someday we'll cure death. Who knows?
He's currently vibing on the Rhodes Island land ship and all the stuff that we talk about with the impending revival of an angry dragon deity. It doesn't seem like he's going to have the chance to do that anytime soon. War is inevitable, and when it arrives...
That's a perfect meme, man. That's a perfect meme. Me after I drink too much, you know? Me till I stay up till 4 a.m. I feel like that's applicable to a lot of things.
Seem like he's going to have the chance to do that anytime soon. War is inevitable, and when it arrives, it will be apocalyptic in scale. But while Chongyue might prefer peace, he is by no means defenseless. Should those who seek violence carelessly approach him, they will find a man more than up to the task of overwhelming their bloodlust. Anyway, thanks for watching. This was the first Patreon-sponsored video that I've done, and I can't wait to do even more. If you'd like to have a video around this length made about whatever topic you like, all you have to do is get your hands on the Imperitas level...
Alrighty! That was a good one!